Well, let's suppose that we agree, because science tells us, that what is a human being? A human being is a member of our species. And then, if we ask science, what is a person? It is a human being alive. And science has no other answer. Then, if we agree that the personality, as far as biology is concerned, is there at conception, can we make a cross-examination? That is, have we the possibility to say, well, you have seen that, but are you sure that there are no situations in which the contrary could occur? Well, we have this possibility because it has been made possible in mice to change the rules. That is, to build a mice in which no male cell is used, but all the chromosomes are derived from female cell. And that is not an individual, it's not a being, it's a tumor. It does not give a little mice, it gives a teratoma of the ovary. And what is interesting is that it exists in our species. Sometimes what we call a dermoid cyst occur in virgins, and we see a tumor growing on the ovary of a little girl, and inside that tumor you would find a horrible mixture of different tissue. You can find teeth, you can find bones, you can find hairs, nails, skin, nerves, but all of that in a full disorder. There is no building whatsoever of a body. So it's only a bag of spare parts. You can do the contrary. And the contrary is to build a mice in which you have removed the pronucleus coming from the mother, so that you have only the chromosome marked at the way the father is marking the chromosome. And in that case, it's not a being, either. It's also a tumor. But in that case, the tumor is very different. The tumor is made of vesicles, and it looks like the placenta or the amnios, which are around the baby, so that it makes what is called a molar degeneration. This exists in our species, and it had been demonstrated around 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, that in molar degeneration there were no chromosomes from mother. All the chromosomes were coming from father. And it was a great surprise, and nobody understood really what was meant by nature, that we could find a kind of pregnancy in which there were no baby, but there were tissue looking like vesicles and only carrying male chromosome. Now we have the answer, especially after the discoveries made by Surani. Surani discovered, to the great surprise of the geneticist, nobody had prophetized that not only we receive half of our chromosome from mother and half from father, but that all the women are marking their DNA by a system we call methylation at certain places, and all the women put the methylation at the same place of the DNA. But all the males are marking different places. And all the males are marking the same places, but it's different from the one marked by the mother. So what happens is a very curious result, that on the first egg, which receive than the first fertilized egg, which has received the mother chromosome and the father's chromosome. Now it has not only all the information written in the DNA, but all the underlined paragraphs that he should read first, then he would read the rest later. In a sense, the beginning of life remembers very much a student trying to prepare the exam. You know, he has a book, and then he underlines what he has to know tomorrow, and he crosses what he has maybe to learn later. We do the same. And at the beginning of life, we have underlined exactly what we must read immediately, mother-wise, and what we must read immediately, father-wise. Now, the surprise came when we realized what father was telling us to do and what mother was telling us to do. Mother is telling how to build the spare pieces. Hence, the possibility of the tumor I was speaking before. Father is telling us how to get the food and to be protected. So how to build the placenta, how to build the membrane. So that we find written inside the chromosome of the first cell, 1.5 millimeters, we have epitomized the difference of task between the two sexes. That man has to build the hut and go hunting, and mother has to carry about the baby. And it was a great consolation to the geneticists to see that even at the level of the first cell, those things were precisely inscribed. That has very important consequence. That is, that the first cell knows all. The first cell knows how to build a human being. Now, when it divides, progressively it changes those methylations, so that in the cells of a grown-up, the little paragraphs which are underlined are still, some of them, underlined in the mother way and in the father way, but most of them have been changed during the growing of the individual, so that the cells have differentiated on a very curious way, that we are able to make from one first cell liver, bones, and brain, and build the individual. And that cannot be reversed. It stays like that until you erase some of the methylation and you methylate some specific place in the ovary to build a ripe ovum, and you do the same at a different place inside the testicle. That implies that it's not possible to reproduce without two different sexes, because you need two different sexes to have more information in the first cell than the simple addition. It's not only complementary, it does not tell us exactly the same thing as far as the time of using those things is written in. It has, for us, many consequences. The first is that it allows us to understand how, from a cell apparently undifferentiated, you get the whole individual. It's rather simple. You erase some methylation, you change some of them, and progressively you forget. That is, the cell which is still able in my body to make a nail has forgotten all the rest, but she remembers how to make a nail. So we pretend that this cell has specialized, but she has just lost part of its information. And in that case, really, the development of an individual looks very much like the teaching of students in medicine. Because when they have got their thesis, they're supposed to know everything. And if they become generalist, they will know a lot of things about many things. And the more they grow in their generalist way, the less they know about more things. At the very end, they know very little about a lot of things. Well, but the specialists do the contrary. He learns more and more on less and less. At the very end, he knows everything on nothing. It's exactly what the cells are doing. The first cell knows everything, and progressively, by forgetting, the cells do specialize and express what was written in the first cell. Then, the conclusion is, and that may be a scoop for some of you, a consolating scoop, that the gay nightmare will not be realized. It's not possible to take two different sperm, to put them inside an egg, to remove the female pronucleus, to have a progeny of two males. That will be a tumor, but not a human being. On the same way, the pretension of the lesbians to have, by genetic manipulation, a child between two females with no intervention of a male cell is totally out of order. It will never occur. It's not that it is forbidden by the law, it's forbidden by nature. And even the cloning, that is the production of a new individual from a nucleus of any part of its body, is not possible because it will not have inside it this methylation at the appropriate place. And then the speculation of the billionaire to transmit at the same time its financial interest and its genetic capital will not be realized. This speculation is totally devaluated by new genetics. Which is interesting is that was not foreseen 10 years ago, and it's only the discovery on the last 5 years which have allowed us to be sure that those things are really like that.